Hey everyone, I thought I would mix things up a little bit and do a trivia challenge to see what you may or may not know. Welcome to WhackAMole. First thing I'd like to do is ask that you would please subscribe to my channel if you're new here or you've been watching my videos for a minute and have hesitated to subscribe. I ask that you'd please subscribe to my channel. Thank you. And the subject of this video is 80s movies quotes. Quotes. But the object of this video, it's trivia challenge, as we talked about in the beginning. And what I'm looking for is I'm going to give you a quote from a movie from the 80s. And I'm just asking what actor said that quote. And for a bonus, I'm thinking that you can guess what movie it was from, and you can just kind of score to yourself. Each actor that you get right for the quote is 1 point, and if you get the name of the movie right, that'll be another point. And just keep the tally to yourself for fun. Okay, let's start our adventure. Alrighty, let's get to our trivia. Now the names in all these are in random order, and it doesn't matter if they may have been in the movie, they may not have. Some have and some haven't, but here's our first quote. I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. Love this quote. But who said it? Was it Don Adams? Harrison Ford? Jackie Gleason? Or Leslie Nielsen? Interesting array of people to pick from. Who do you think it is? Who could it be? And the answer is...
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Leslie Nielsen. Yay. And now that we know that it's Leslie Nielsen, I keep pronouncing his name a couple ways, but most people know who he is. If not, Google him. Okay, and now that we know that it's him, what movie is this quote from? This isn't going to be a random choice. I'm just going to tell you in a second what movie this came from. Can you guess? Okay, and the movie this came from is Airplane, which I think is very funny. I've watched it a few times, growing up in the 80s, and I think it's funny. So give it a watch. Okay, on to the next. Alright, this next quote I've always enjoyed, and it should be a rememberable quote to some people. It's, we came, we saw, we kicked its ass. That's a pretty good quote. But who was it said by? Dan Aykroyd? Harold Ramses? Okay. Aaron Hudson? Or Bill Murray? Who said this quote? I can give you a hint. They just made a remake of this movie within the last year. And I guess that one did pretty good too. This was a pretty famous comedy. Okay, and the answer is...
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass!
Bill Murray. And this is a very funny movie. Can we guess the movie? I don't know what kind of hints I can give you. If any little hints would probably give it away too easy. Okay, and the movie is Ghostbusters, which is a really good movie. You should watch the original. I believe it's from 1984. Starring Dan Aykroyd and the list of men I've mentioned in the question. So give it a watch. Okay, on to the next. Okay, our next quote is snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? Oh man, I don't think too many people are fond of snakes. But who said this? Did Bruce Willis, Bill Murray, Harrison Ford, or Paul Hogan? Who is the person that said this quote? And the answer is
snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Harrison Ford. Okay, we know who said the quote. Now what movie is it from? I should have probably did this multiple choice, but I figured just blurting it out would probably be the best way. If you haven't figured it out by who stars in the movie. And the answer is, it's Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Alrighty, on to the next. Alright, well this next quote is from a pretty iconic movie from the 80's. And one that you should most definitely watch if you've never seen it. And the quote from the movie is, "Don't mess with the bulls, young man." Or the bull. I pluralized it. "Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns." That's quite a statement. But who said it? Paul Gleason, Judd Nelson, Emilio Estevez, or Anthony Michael Hall. Which one of these people said this quote? It would most definitely have to be a leading type person if you need a hint. Only a person of authority would say such a quote to people. And the answer is,
don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.
Paul Gleason. Alrighty, now that we know who said the quote, what movie did it come from? And this was a very big iconic movie from the 80's. And if you grew up in the 80's, you probably most definitely already know what it is. If you grew up in the 90's, you might have missed out. But it was a very iconic movie. And that movie was The Breakfast Club, which I thought was a decent movie in my youth. You should most definitely check it out. Alrighty, on to the next. Alrighty, last but not least. This was another kind of iconic film of the 80's that kind of addressed how us kids were feeling back in the 80's. And most people that grew up in the 80's will fully understand and recognize this movie. And the quote is, I could disappear forever. And it wouldn't make any difference. I messed that up, but you got the gist of it. Okay, who said this quote? Anthony Michael Hall. I don't quite know how to pronounce this. Getty Watanabe? Well, we'll roll with that. Molly Ringwald. Or Michael, or is that Mitchell? Michael Scoffling? Should have really practiced those, huh? But anyways, there they are. I spit them out, I tell you. But yeah, this was a very iconic and meaningful film, you know, for the 80s. You know, and I often reflect upon some of the scenes in it. But who said this quote in this movie? And the answer is Molly Ringwald. And I couldn't find a clip of her saying this in the movie. I'm sure I could have scoured the whole movie to find it, but because I ran out of time, I wasn't able to find it. But it's in the movie. And which movie is it? Which movie starring Molly Ringwald did this quote come from? And she's made quite a few movies in the 80s and has a few quotes out there in her movies. Alrighty, and the movie is 16 Candles. Yay! Alrighty. The 80s. Okay, that is the end of our video. And if you made it this far, I thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed our trivia. I'd like to make some more of these. Maybe do a little better job and maybe read some names a little better. But there you go. I hope you've learned something. Share my video. And we'll talk with you later. Bye-bye.